Welcome to Maths for All. I'm Aisling Flynn. This is Algebra 2.3 Quadratic Equations. So this time we're asked to solve. So solve x squared plus 4x minus 12x equals 0. This is known as a quadratic equation. It has the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we've seen something similar before, but this time we have equal 0. It is an equation, left equals right. Okay, so when we're asked to solve, we're asked to find the value or values of x which will make this equation true. Okay, so what number, if you substitute it for x, will make left equals right? Okay, and you can see that the right is 0. So what number will give 0 equals 0? That's what you're asked. One way to figure it out or to try and get a correct answer is trial and error. You could choose different numbers and replace them for x and see, do you get the answer 0? So let's try the number 1. 1 squared plus 4 1s minus 12. Does it give 0? So that's 1 plus 4 minus 12. That's minus 7, which is not equal to 0. So 1 is not a correct answer for x. Okay? So let's try another number and see, does it work? Let's try 2. So 2 squared plus 4 2s minus 12 is 4 plus 8 minus 12, which is 12 minus 12. So 0 equals 0. Yes, 2 is a solution, or x equals 2 is a solution. Okay, the number 2 makes the equation true. X equals minus 6 is also a solution. Okay, I want you to remember these two numbers, 2 and minus 6, for a little later on. Okay, just to demonstrate the minus 6. Minus 6 squared plus 4 times minus 6 minus 12. Well, minus 6 squared minus 6 by minus 6 is plus 36. 4 by minus 6 is minus 24 minus 12. So you get 36 minus 36. So you would get your left equals right, your 0 equals 0. Okay. Okay, but surely there is a better way to find solutions than trial and error. Okay, it's not the ideal. Yes, there is, and it is factorising, which you've just done. Okay, so this is what we've factorised these before. Okay, we call them quadratic trinomials. Quadratic meaning they have an x squared part, and trinomial meaning they have 3 parts. Okay, we saw that they were made by 2 by 2 multiplications, and we got 2 factors, 2 brackets multiplied by each other when we factorized them. Okay, so this time around, however, it's slightly different. You're not asked to factorize, you're asked to solve. So what we have an equation to begin with. We have an equals 0. That's really important. Okay, so if you factorize the left-hand side, you can put the 2 factors multiplied by each other equal to 0. Now, logic says that if the answer to a multiplication is 0, then at least one of those factors must be 0, because 0 multiplied by anything equals 0. And we use this piece of logic to help us solve. The method requires you to put each factor equal to 0, and solving the little equations you get then give you 2 solutions to the quadratic equation. And a quadratic equation should have 2 solutions always. Okay, if you have x to the power of 2, you should always get 2 answers. Okay, so let's try that. So solving by factorizing. So this was our original equation. We're going to factorize using our 2 by 2 grid as we did previously. Put in x squared and your minus 12. We have to look for factors of 12 to make plus 4x. So take some rough work paper if you need it and put in there plus 6x and minus 2x. So 6 and 2 give you 12. That's why we chose them. If you make it plus 6x and minus 2x, your x's on the diagonal will give you plus 4x. Okay? So there, we have what we need. Okay, take out your common factors, x on the top row, x on the left column, 6 on the bottom row, and minus 2 on the right-hand side. Okay, now take a quick look at that and make sure that all the numbers remultiply to give what's inside the grid. Okay, when you're happy, you can rewrite your equation now. Instead of the trinomial, you can now write the two factors, x plus 6 multiplied by x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so from our logic now we can say, well, one of the factors must be 0, so we'll put both of them equal to 0 and see what answer they give us. So we put x plus 6 equal to 0 and x minus 2 equal to 0. So these are two small equations and we're going to solve for x. Solving for x means you want to finish with x equals. So the first one, you're going to take 6 from both sides and that leaves you with x equals minus 6. And the second one, you would add 2 to both sides. That gives you x equals 2. So there I have two values of x. If you think back to our trial and error, the two numbers that worked were 2 and minus 6. And here we have them now from factorising. Okay, and these two numbers are known as the roots of the equation. When you put them back in instead of x, you get 0 equals 0. Okay. Now, so we should practice that to get a little better at it. Okay, it will take some time to get used to them. So here we have our trinomial again, our quadratic equation. We factorise, then we put in x squared and 15. So factors of 15, that will make 8. So we have 1 times 15, no, 3 times 5, 3 and 5 make 8. So put in our 3x and our 5x, but we need minus 8, so each of those takes a minus. And now take out your common factors. So our diagonal is right. Common factors x and x, minus 5 and minus 3. Remultiply now, check all your numbers. So yes, minus 5 by minus 3 gives plus 15. Okay. And now rewrite your equation, using your factors instead. So x minus 5 times x minus 3 equal to 0. And put each factor equal to 0 now. There we go. And solve for x. Get x equals 5 and x equals 3. Okay. Again, these are known as the roots of the equation. Okay, solve this one. Okay, it looks a little different than before. Why? Because there are only two terms. Okay, so we won't be using a 2 by 2 grid to factorize. Okay, we just have two terms. So this one, you're going to look for just a common factor. And common to both of those is 2x. And that leaves x minus 6 as the other factor. Okay, but the logic is the same. Rewrite your equation, but write it with the two factors equal to 0. And then put each factor equal to 0. And then solve for x. So if 2x equals 0, divide both sides by 2, x will be equal to 0 is one answer. And the other side gives us a result of x equals 6. Okay, there are roots. Now let's look at this one. X squared minus 49 equals 0. Again, looks different because there are only two terms. But if we try to do it as the previous one, you see there is no common factor for x squared and 49. Okay, so what is this one? Well, we could factorize. We could use the array, the 2 by 2, making the middle x term 0. Okay, but hopefully from your multiplication, you may have noticed, and maybe now you can recognize this as the difference of 2 squared. So when the middle term is 0, there's no middle term, it was the difference of 2 squares. Okay, and with time, you'll get more familiar with the squared numbers. Okay, they're on your right. So you can see that 49 is 7 squared. Now, when you come to recognize these, when you get good at recognizing them, you don't have to show any work, you can immediately write down your factors. Okay, and remember the factors for this type are exactly the same, but one will have minus and one will have plus. So I can write straight away that the factors are x minus 7 multiplied by x plus 7. Okay, now if you need time to figure that out, that's fine. If you want to use the array, that's fine. If you want to check it by remultiplying, that's fine. Okay, but once you arrive at these two factors, you proceed as always. Put each factor equal to 0 and then solve for x. Okay, so one root is plus 7 and the other root is minus 7. Now you try some of those doing your quiz and your written exercise. Remember, practice makes perfect. It will take some time to become good at them. Best of luck. And here's your glossary.